Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 475. 475. Tonight is Monday. The chairman is going to be in a few minutes' time, so I'll just take the liberty of, in the interest of timeliness, we're running a few minutes late right now. I'll just go ahead and start the preliminaries for our program, which is, first of all, to say a short prayer, after which I'll do a short reading. Uh, Let me bow my head and proceed with the prayer. O loving Father, thou who art the creator of heaven and earth, and all that in them are, we come before thy presence once more, supplicating that thou will accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to you for having granted us the privilege of life, first and foremost, and secondly, for the opportunity to still be alive among our family members, friends, and loved ones. Thou knowest our hearts, our desires, even our most secret thoughts, loving Father. Please let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our mind and the contriteness of our soul be acceptable before thy divine presence, now and always. We pray that thou must give us the words to speak tonight on this particular program, that whatever we have to say and do may accrue to the benefit of our people and country of Belize and to our leaders as well. We pray that thou must also have mercy upon those who are in earthquakes, volcano eruptions, tornadoes, hurricanes, and all manner of pestilence visiting the face of this earth today. We pray that thou must also have mercy upon those who have need of food and clothes and shelter. Please be merciful unto them and provide for their needs. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much for affording us the privilege to do our preliminaries. I'll follow through by finding a few verses in the scripture. I've opened up at Jeremiah. So we're going to look at Jeremiah chapter, let me see, where am I reading assistance? We read from Jeremiah chapter 31. It goes as follows. At the same time, saith the Lord, will I be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Verse 2 goes on to say, thus saith the Lord, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Verse 3, the Lord hath appeared of old unto me, saying, yes, or yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. And that was the end of our reading for tonight. Uh, Before we go into our program proper, I see our chairman is somewhere in the background, probably working on something for his program. So I won't disturb him because he's able to bring himself in on the show on his own timing. But I do want to take a few seconds just to remind our people and our government, by the way, not only just our people, that from June to November is hurricane season. And it baffles me that even though we know that to be a historical fact, that our country sits in Hurricane Alley, and even though we don't get hurricane as often as we could have probably ended up getting, because many of them have came by, blew over like what guys say in Belize, like a lee breeze. Not a lot of devastation, and not a lot of lives lost. So we Belizeans can claim to be grateful for being blessed in that way because living down Hurricane Alley is not fun. Any number could play any day, especially during that particular period of time, which is the rainy season from June to November. And so far, we have been spared. We have had a little bit of excessive rain that caused a little bit of flooding. But where I was going with my original intended comment was to say, even though we know we're living in Hurricane Alley, and during the period of June to November, we were susceptible to hurricane devastations, our government and our people seem not to make it a priority to organize, as in the case of NEMO, let's say, for example, we have an organization by the name of NEMO that should be looking at these matters more critically than they have, because quite a bit uh, of the community centers that most people would run to in case there's a need for them to get away from their homes in case of a hurricane. Most of these community centers, some of them don't have roof, some of them don't have windows or doors. You know, they are being beaten down by the natural elements, and not any money is being put to repair them or make them available for emergency. Every June to November, we're supposed to have those facilities at the least in habitable condition. And for whatever reason, our system of governance does not take that critical matter as a priority, much less to put food or any emergency supplies in those facilities, which would be required if there's an emergency. But I guess they don't want to spend the money to prepare. Maybe they're thinking that if enough people get hurt, we'll have enough sympathy from people at home and abroad that money will start roll to try and relieve the people that are in problems, only for the money to disappear. We need the government to act as a duly elected government that's looking out for the well-being, the welfare of the people of the country. We don't need to wait till a disaster happens for us to start running around with our head in a platter, trying to figure out what we do next. These things require planning, preemptive planning. It requires expenditure of resources. It requires organization. And it requires goodwill and good faith on the part of the government individuals who we have hired, by the way, being paid a salary to do just that job. And somehow the salary is disappeared because they collect it, and the damn job is not being done adequately at least. Um, I see the chairman is available, so I don't want to overdo it and get into a deeper rant. I'll just leave it at that, and hopefully the good Lord upstairs is going to be merciful unto us in case we end up with any kind of hurricane problem, because these idiots have not prepared adequately for it. So I yield up, Mr. Chairman. Good night, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Good night to you, Mr. Brackett.
Welcome, sir.
I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. I want to thank you for tuning in to this, our 475th edition of Belizean Affairs. I want to go back to a video when the Prime Minister first announced the Civil Assets Recovery and Unexplained Wealth Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I will show you, the people at home and abroad, how these laws are made and how these laws only work for certain individual. It should work per Section 6 of the Belizean Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
That is not happening. Let me go to the tape.
The Civil Recovery Authority would need to obtain a preliminary unexplained wealth order requiring an individual to file a declaration of wealth and appear before the High Court to answer questions. If the individual provides false or misleading information, it may amount to an offense. What was important here, Madam Speaker, is that we want to have the FIU the ability to be able to go after unexplained wealth and assets that were illegally taken. But at the same time, we have to ensure that we also protect the rights of individuals. Because as we said, in this country, we live by the principle that you're presumed innocent until found guilty. But we're also pointing out that that individual also have to come clean to provide evidence how he or she or the company received that assets or how they have the wealth that is in their possession. We also know we have all of these drug people or quote-unquote drug lords within the country. And you know they don't work, but they're driving these fancy vehicles. So this will give you the ability to pull them in. And then they would have to explain how they have their wealth, what work they do, what is their investments.
People at home and abroad, I hope you have listened to the tape because I want to tie this tape into something that is presently happening and taking place. I want to go back to remind you guys at home and abroad what happened to the ombudsman after here we and Belizean Affairs stipulated that the ombudsman can investigate the government. Shortly thereafter, the ombudsman lost his contract and was not rehired. I want to go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You had me laughing in the background while that tape was being played because as the gentleman was double talking as is his habit, in my mind, I was running the evidence, not the evidence, I shouldn't call it evidence, but I was running some uh, scenarios that that good gentleman, I shouldn't even call the man good gentleman. I shouldn't even call the man gentleman because the man take advantage away big time, okay? And I don't have no respect or regards or consideration for anybody who behaves that kind of way in such an onerous way, using the public powers of state to commit criminal acts and crimes against our civilian and the people of our country. Okay, so I do not hold these people in any level of regards. I'm more inclined to believe that I'm contemptuous of them for good reasons. But let me explain what I was getting at when I said in the back of my head I was laughing and coming up with some of the scenarios. The gentleman that just won the collect division, did the Prime Minister send the FIU to go and investigate how come he can, within a few months' time of winning the general election, he can start display unexplained wealth as the law stipulates? That is that he start being a massive house. He can start spending, showing off all his other assets that he had. Where the devils did he get all those assets from? He wasn't known to be anyone of that type of substantive asset possessor. But beyond that, didn't the Prime Minister claim that he sells cattle or that he has a cattle ranching? Minister Mai has a cattle ranching. And they went to the House of Representatives and made a law to retrospectively exculpate themselves from the crime of contrabanding cattle out of the country into other neighboring countries. And the law that they put in place would allow them to then continue doing the very criminal acts, but without any penalties thereafter, because the law allows them to be able to then legally do what they were doing illegally. In other words, they exculpated themselves by creating that particular law. And even now that they're doing it so-called legally under the new laws that they put in place, we still don't see the benefits coming to the country in terms of at least our taxes or at least our customs money that we're supposed to have. So these guys get rich on the hag. They can turn around and claim that, okay, they got their assets or their unexplained wealth. As the Prime Minister is saying, we have some drug dealers running around in the country, flashing their money, and none of them have been investigated for unexplained wealth. But he's going to stand up in the House and make that kind of declaration. And as the Minister of Finance, who should be dealing with these matters, he does not follow through. So he's taking us all for a bunch of fools, which is why I came off by saying that I am very contemptuous of these. I mean, these guys relate to us with criminal contempt. They play fast and loose with just about anything and everything. And the laws are being put in place, and they don't use it against themselves or their friends or others, who are the very same ones that are carrying out this illegal activity, including themselves, like I said. It's not just Greg, can you bring on Mr. Thank you. I'll just cease for a second and give Mr. Morrison, good night, Mr. Morrison, the opportunity.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
gentlemen. Go ahead.
It's a pleasure to be here with you again once again. And
thank you very much for gracing us, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Gregory Brackett.
Good evening to you, Mr. Morrison. Double trouble in the name of Gregory, huh?
Yeah. You gotta keep it real.
To the hard way.
Please continue.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Morrison.
Okay. I hadn't finished though, Mr. Chairman. I was about to
go ahead, Mr. Brackett. I wanted to go back to the tape since Mr. Morrison is here to enlighten him, and then you can continue from that.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to do that. Mr. Morrison, I had gone back to the Civil Assets Recovery and Unexplained Wealth tape, and I want you to listen to it very carefully as I had played it, so the people at home and abroad can hear it. After I finished playing it, I went back to say that here in Belizean affairs, when we had the situation of Ryan Joseph Budner, and they were talking about independent investigation or international investigation, and the Prime Minister, they said we don't have such law, according to the AG. We here in Belizean affair expressively said, but we do have the ombudsman who can investigate the government. Shortly thereafter, his contract was terminated. Mm-hmm. So tonight I want to bring in these tapes to show the double standards and why certain aspects is not involved. Let me go back to the tape.
The Civil Recovery Authority would need to obtain a preliminary unexplained wealth order requiring an individual to file a declaration of wealth and appear before the High Court to answer questions. If the individual provides false or misleading information, it may amount to an offense. What was important here, Madam Speaker, is that we want to have the FIU the ability to be able to go after unexplained wealth and assets that were illegally taken. But at the same time, we have to ensure that we also protect the rights of individuals. Because as we said, in this country, we live by the principle that you're presumed innocent until found guilty. But we're also pointing out that that individual also have to come clean to provide evidence how he or she or the company received that assets or how they have the wealth that is in their possession. We also know we have all of these drug people or quote-unquote drug lords within the country. And you know they don't work, but they're driving these fancy vehicles. So this will give you the ability to pull them in. And then they would have to explain how they have their wealth, what work they do, what is their investments.
So there you go, people at home and abroad. I replayed the video. Mr. Brackett, you may continue.
Sir, I'd like to defer for right now, since the video is freshly played, and give Mr. If you don't mind, give Mr. Morrison. Oh, I think you said you had a thought that you was going to bring out after the video was played again, no?
Right.
And I'd like to reserve my additional comment, since I had already made an extensive one. I was just about to wrap it up, but I would like to hold that over and let either you
No,
or
sir, it will
if
not
you
be
don't
an
mind.
additional comment. Mr. Morrison,
Thank you.
based on the tape that I just played and what we heard the Prime Minister said, is he not leaving out one that is called using your office for self-enrichment?
You know, they always find a way to and manage to escape themselves from whatever law and whatever enforcement there's to be. There was nothing about he was quick to point out the drug dealer that's driving around, but he forgot to mention the politician that has all these unexplained wealth and built 5 houses and owns all these lands and all this stuff after a very short time in office. So those are where they constantly leave themselves out and seem to go. You know, they get us excited over what we hate already, right? Or what we think is problematic already. But part of the problem is the corruption of the politicians that they seem to always escape themselves into and wind us into a little room and then make us think that much is happening or is going to happen. You know, the questions that we have for the drug lords is the same question we have for the politicians. It's the same job. It's the same question we have for the unexplained wealth of the civil servants that work in these different government departments that is so catering to this level of corruption. The same questions and concerns we have about these people that's operating the free zone and creating this extreme scrutiny upon our country because of the evasion that they and the providing all these cigarettes and liquor and different things that goes into other countries and create a problem for them. So I know that they keep saying, for example, there's so many thousands of people that's employed by through the free zone, but that doesn't mean that it needs to or should be uh, corrupt sanctioned government operation. And so there are all these issues that make us wanting. What we want is a country that operates within the law, that functions, that ensures that our people can move about our country and internationally freely and not under suspicion, because this apparatus of government and its organs um, facilitate corruption and this excessive greed. So that's how I think of it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. I go back to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In the first instance, I would like to ask the question now that we're dealing with the is it Mr. Mira and his cabal of many individuals that he claimed in the house that when they come so strong because there's so much of them. How come we haven't heard the FIU gotten involved in this particular investigation as well? All the arms of government should be working hand in hand to support each other and to see to it that they bring this matter to a head, and who has to go to jail should end up going to jail. Another question as regards to the statement that was made about the free zone and the mayhem that's going on in the Corozal area. The Constitution says that the government, under those type of circumstances, is empowered to ask for an SOE and to deal with those areas under an SOE. That's where an SOE is duly entitled to be called for and be put in place so that the government can go in there and effectively deal with those issues the way they need to deal with it. Because we have major criminal elements inside the free zone fighting each other and creating mayhem and power playing our governance system. That is to the point where it seems like outside foreign entities have to be bringing down pressure on our government because it appears that our government doesn't know what's going on in our own country and within our own free zone and other parts of the country. And therefore, outside countries have to be putting pressure on our government to dismiss our government officials and ministers them because they've been caught up into these activities. Our country deserves better, and better can be had. But when you're talking about racketeering and money, everybody eye light up. And the people who are supposed to be guarding the chicken coop are basically selling out the chickens then without any, regards. That's why we have changing of ministers from different portfolios under which that particular free zone has come under. We have had at least about 2 or 3 of them changed already recently. And it is to be expected, as I mentioned on this particular platform, that before this year is up, cabinet is going to change again. Because nobody that has to deal with that portfolio appreciate having to be looked upon as being part and parcel of what's going on there. When in fact what's going on there is bigger than the whole damn country, much less any one minister. If Mexico has not been able to get a hold of their and control over their situation, they're a much bigger country than us, much more powerful, they have much more resources. But we have to be the one that is being pointed at and to say that we are the one aiding and abetting these criminal activities. Call for the damn SOE and put an SOE up there, just like how they're doing the black neighborhoods them. This is the time to call for an SOE. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome, sir.
I was speaking here from the video which was passed in 2023, Mr. Morrison, I want to go back to you. Isn't campaign financing that is not reported and unexplained well? We are now hearing the talk about that from Dr. Dylan Vernon. I want to hear your
Well, you
intake
know,
on that, sir.
yeah.
Distractions, distractions.
Thank you very much. It most definitely is, and we do need to have political campaign registration. We do need to have declaration of who's funding these political campaigns, and it is at a situation where both political parties, both major political parties, seem very much unwilling to declare how much money they are taking in and who they are getting it from, and that needs to be disclosed. I am definite that we are not going to get corruption out of our system. We are not going to get bought politicians out of our governance unless we are able to have them structure political financing and transparency and declaration and the ability to audit those. And it also has requirement for and punishment for violations of those measures. So yes, political party contribution is unexplained wealth, and what a corruption that we let go by so easily often is them corrupting the election day process and leading up to the election day by buying votes, and we need to make sure that also the people that are accepting these money, if found liable, are to be held accountable. But more importantly, the people that are giving these money out must be found accountable. We know, I know this, that on election day there are some people that walks around with hundreds of thousands of dollars to give out in some form for voter participation. I understand that a bit of it happens when you have a party afterwards, and you have to bring people down and feed them and all that. That to participate in events, that part is understandable and could be somewhat justified. But what we cannot justify is the total dissolution of our laws and the level of corruption that we see in actual money payment or gifts that are extraordinary to individuals, um, for campaign and for voting. And also the big part of that corruption is the movement of individuals from their rightful residential area and having them voting in highly contested areas throughout. And both parties are known to practice this corruptive process. So there's a lot to be desired, and there's a lot of things that must be done to hold these um, political parties and political um, activists accountable, but it has to be enforced by the true rule of law, and there need to be penalties that we are able to through proof exercise,
Okay.
and then have a case and make sure that if it is a crime, if they're found guilty, that the penalty is paid.
Thank you,
Back to you.
Mr. Morrison. I go to you, Mr. Brackett,
Uh,
before I go to the next video.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the political campaign financing issue, I can tell you that it's not something that just got birthed over the last general election. That is to say, less than a few months ago. I can say it's been going on from as far back as I can tell in the 60s. Okay.
Mhm.
it only has been getting a little worse every time because depending on who is in government, they always want to bring up the subject and speak to it as if they are so genuinely interested in resolving or solving the problem, which they genuinely don't want to. Because from then until now, so many decades after we could have had that matter under control, or at least a little less than it currently has blossomed or turned out to be. It's generally not intended, according to these politicians, for any of them as politicians, regardless of what party they come from, for anyone to know who is financing them or who is helping them. Because after they finish winning the election and they start giving out favors, they don't want those favors to be associated with the people who actually provided them the funds to run their election campaign. And that's what it's all at the bottom of the barrel. The truth of the matter is, right now we're hearing about this matter being brought up again by Mr. Dillon, Vernon, and others who have been doing analysis on these things. But it is conveniently brought out now that the government is under pressure to distract from the people's attention and focus on the government misbehavior. So as to say, okay, well, we're going to give them this thing that they've been asking about for so long, at least as a discussion or argumenting um, point or topic, to distract them from focusing on the criminal conduct of the government as it is right now, and of all the different things that are happening, why the government can't take care of the people's needs, why we are not getting good governance. We cannot continue with this process of shell game. Somehow or another, one of these two parties are going to have to take the bull by the horn and put the correct laws in place and hold the feet of themselves as well as others. The problem is that nobody wants to be held accountable first. So they keep committing the crimes, they keep exculpating each other, they keep aiding and abetting each other, and then they go and sit in cabinet and they have all this discussion about what's going on wrong, how they're going to solve it. And at the end of the day, they don't solve nothing. They create more laws to 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 um, to pressure the civilians. They create laws that are just applicable to the civilians and not to politicians and the financiers, like we said. And the next thing is that most of the time when this thing is brought up is by the government in power. It's never by the opposition. Why? Because the opposition doesn't have no money and needs to find a way to get the money. And whatever ways or means that they can come up with the money, it serves them well according to them, because then the government have the government coffers and all the goodies in the government pouch that they can dish out to all manner of people and be able to buy themselves another election. Whereas the opposition or the ones that are in opposition at any given time, I can remember when the PUP was in opposition and Mr. Bisenyo did not want to take on the leadership because the old guards in the PUP had taken all the assets when they walk away from the party and didn't want to provide new assets so that they could continue making the party viable. So they had to go and borrow more money from Mr. Ashcroft again. And that's why when they came back into office, the first thing they were focused on was to get Mr. Ashcroft his money back. That's why they took out the 10% from the teachers. But anyhow, I'm straying a little bit from the focus of I'm just giving contextual facts that validate why is it that we are where we are. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Could I just add something, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Mr. Morrison.
Yeah, you know, on of most importance to make our democracy regularized is to make sure that we address campaign financing of some form, to make sure that um, there is rules to hold politicians accountable in terms of how they spend the people's money. You know, one of the problem we have, and some of these boards like the tourist board that are statutory boards that don't actually give the money to the government become slush funds for political campaign. And so we need to find a way to either change the manner in how that agency statutory body operates so that regular accounting, yearly accounting, and that the money is approved by the government, not just by the tourist board, and how they spend that money. They seem to have great latitude to do what they want in spending that money. And now this is not a little small change like it was 40, 50 years ago. This is hundreds of millions of dollars that is really going through a process that the people of Belize, the country, has no way of identifying and accounting and control of how this money is being spent. And much of it, a great portion of it, ends up in private hands, ends up in political campaign. And if we were to start taking measures to hold to find a way to separate our politicians from the revenue of the country because they seem to have an extreme control and ability of, of getting money, whether it's money for I know they get that small amount of money that they get for constituency assistance. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other money that they're getting, that somehow they're able to gather and the money they get. I remember there was a recent like 2 3 years ago. I saw this and it just turned my head. I remember this was just approaching the election of the year, and the government of Taiwan gave the minister from the Caribbean shores a check um, to help with constituency development. And
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking that there's nothing wrong in that kind of stuff, but somehow we never know what money was given. Nobody knows except the minister knows what the government of Taiwan gave him at that time. And I remember the leader of the opposition at that time was Mr. Barra, and he was very concerned about that it made him acted in a probably undeserving way when the foreign minister of Taiwan visited the National Assembly because he felt like they were interfering in our internal political affairs at that time. What I'm saying, these things create potential for international incidents. It disrupts our normal political processes and it corrupts the entire system of our governance. So we need to make sure that we find ways, we identify these things and make sure that people don't can't just take money from a foreign entity or even a domestic entity and not have a declaration of that funds and have a proper accounting of how those funds were spent. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr.
Uh,
Morrison.
Mr.
The
Chairman, before we play the
reason
next clip.
why,
Oh, sorry, sorry.
the reason why I personally wanted to present this topic on tonight's show is to say to you, the people at home and abroad, why the FIU is not involved in the mirror scandal. And it should have been involved because I will tell you why. Even if they do a auditing, if the auditor general does the auditing and she says, well, okay, the audit is not showing no discrepancy except they paid money to get the provision and they got the amount of provision per the dollars. Or if she says the only thing she find of concern is because there was all these $10,000. Even if the Auditor General says that there is still unexplained wealth within it, and I will tell you why. When there is purchase for an item at 3 times the price, that is considered unexplained wealth. And this is why I took this topic tonight, because I want to show how the government uses these laws for certain individual, and when it comes to holding them accountable, they act above the law. Let's hear what the finance minister had to say.
Today, the Civil Asset Recovery and Unexplained Wealth Act was the focus of a joint initiative between the Financial Intelligence Unit (FIU) and the U.S. Embassy's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs. This act gives the FIU the authority to recover assets and wealth acquired by individuals through criminal means. These persons will be investigated, and according to the Financial Secretary Joseph Waite, anyone who's living in Belize can be the subject of the investigation.
This basically says, look, with the capacity and the training that we hope to get over in the coming months, this will give the authorities the tools to be able to say, look, if something looks cute, something looks funny, something looks unexplained, look into it and see. If it's proven that it is from an illegal source, it can be seized. Yeah?
Includes everyone,
Yeah, everyone.
including the Prime Minister,
Yeah, he's a citizen as well. Yeah.
the leader of a religious community.
Anybody who has unexplained wealth.
The legislation empowers the FIU to obtain an unexplained wealth order in case of suspicion. Once the court order is issued, the subject will be compelled to elucidate and disclose the origins of their assets and wealth before the High Court. Lenny Isigiri-McGann is the director of the FIU.
We are the primary agency that will be responsible for making civil asset recovery applications or unexplained wealth applications. Both of those applications are applications that can take place without the need for a criminal conviction. And we bring the person in relation to any property before the court and make an application and ask for that property in consideration of the fact that it represents the proceeds of crime, be recovered, or that unexplained wealth order. In that case, it would be an application in the first stage that the person is able to then provide a declaration accounting for that property, and then based on that declaration, the court will determine whether or not it would make an unexplained wealth order. If, of course, the person cannot adequately respond to how they came about acquiring certain property.
Police Commissioner Chester Williams says that this new act will allow police officers and the FIU to go after suspects.
We do have police officers who are entrenched at the FIU, who assist with investigations and other matters that the director may so wish for them to carry out. There are occasions when the police and FIU do work together on cases, and I believe that with this new law, there are going to be much more of those occasions where we're going to work together to go after persons who we believe are engaged in criminal activities and are benefiting financially from it, to see how we can then forfeit their assets.
And the owners of these assets have protections under this act.
Imagine for a moment, one day you see some physical assets, big building going up, or a number of cars, or speedboats, or things that this legislation will give the authority to inquire. Well, what's the source? Where it's coming from, and if it can't be, and if it's proven that it's an illegal source or unexplained wealth, it can be seized. But there's a process, and there's protections for the owners of these properties. It's not just wanton and capricious.
The week-long training is bringing together all stakeholders to familiarize themselves with the act. Dean Flowers is participating as the president of the Public Service Union. Flowers says he has an issue with the time restrictions imposed by the act.
It is a fact that as a...
So there you go, people at home and abroad, and gentlemen. Is it safe to say that the FIU should have been involved in the mirror scandal? And I will tell you why I'm saying this. Isn't it safe to say he's building a big house in Belmopan? Should they
Yeah.
not look into that?
Yeah. I think this investigation is many parts, right? It's like an octopus. I think I think they should be looking at it, but I think what they're trying to establish, if they're being wholesome and truthful at this point, is to see what was the procedure in place for the contracts and money transfer to these accounts, and then once they have established in fact that, for example, products weren't provided per the contract. And I understand there were people cutting up and tearing up documents that were supposed to have been turned over to the Auditor General. So
Hmm.
I think that in itself is a criminal issue that both in this case, probably the FIU should be looking at some of those people that are accused of it, and also the Attorney General and the DPP should be looking at those, because those are crimes that when you're hindering an investigation by destroying documents, there's specific statutes in our law that prohibit those. I think the Auditor General says that in fact no department should be destroying documents without first declaring what those documents are and getting approval from some higher ups on it. And I am sure, that these low level treasury people, people working in the civil service, are not destroying these documents and their own advocation. So something is going on that is giving them the cover to do what they're doing, identifying for them what needs to be destroyed, and so um, I'm hoping that all the authorities that has judicial power are looking into this, and that they are taking notes of it, and that there's going to be a recourse, at least bringing them in to find out what they destroyed and who gave them the authority to destroy them. Because this is a if that's all you need to do to stop an investigation in the track, is that I go into the office and start tearing up stuff and shredding stuff, then we might as well dismiss all of the laws, because that could be done every day.
Wasn't somebody in them office late at night the other day and no information came out as to what is it that they were doing in those offices when they weren't supposed to be in there in the
Yeah,
first place?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
Destroying some of the evidence.
yes,
And
yes.
if the evidence is not there, then the Auditor General cannot audit what is not
the
available to be
evidence
audited.
will always be there, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad. Even if you destroy documents, it is already on social media and in the news that you were purchasing item 3 times its value. That is considered unexplained wealth.
No, no, Mr.
So
Chairman,
there is
Mr.
no
Chairman,
getting
not
away
not, acco-
from it.
not according to what they were trying to stipulate when they were making the law. Remember, the double talk, okay? What they are considering to be unexplained wealth is wealth that other people acquire without them, as politicians or the government, knowing or are able to trace back whether or not that person acquired those unexplained wealth according to them, what they deem them as unexplained, because it doesn't equate to the salary that the person was making or any other legal activity that the person may have been doing. But they are doing a lot of illegal activities, and none of them are getting
It
prosecuted and or
is,
much less investigated.
Mr. Brackett, that is unexplained wealth. You're selling the government at 3 times the price. It's unexplained.
No, it's explained by
But
them
you
saying
need
that
the
they're
every
paying for the contract.
you need the legal evidence. You see, we a court cannot necessarily rely on those news clips. That is a good that's a good colloquial type of reference that hey,
Yes,
this is
but
happening.
what I
But
was stipulating. Oh, sorry. What I was stipulating though is that when the government speaks about unexplained wealth in the context of the law that they created, is to serve a different purpose than to catch them as being the one who are culpable of taking money out of we treasury under false and bogus premise, which is what I think Greg is actually supposed to be mentioning. The unexplained wealth in the government eye is not that somebody get double or triple the amount of money that they should get, which is illegal, by the way, as you have stipulated correctly. So the bottom line is they're not considering that if somebody has a contract with the government and the government paid them for that contract, regardless of whether that contract was bogus, the explanation for that wealth is that it came from government treasury. But nobody will say it came under false, under embezzlement, or under fictitious or bogus. In fact, they know they pay taxes on the money when they receive out of the government
well,
coffers. That's
that
another
I
thing
was
that
yeah
we need to be adjusting to,
yeah
because that's how you trap them. If they had paid the
that
tax, it means that it's a legitimate bill.
yeah.
But if they submit the bill, didn't pay the tax, and the money was paid to them, it means that they have committed an additional crime on top of all the other crimes
Yeah,
that is
and
there.
Gentlemen,
that's where the FIU will come in at a later stage once we understand the level of all this. So, you know, what I'm looking for the Auditor General to first establish for us, to the best of that department's ability, is how much was paid under this bogus plan. Was there giving of contracts? Was there a contract in place?
Illegal
And
contract,
uh,
an illegal contract, a contract, but an
well,
illegal
well,
contract, a
was there a
bogus
contract
contract.
in place? Was there a contract in? I'm not talking about. I don't care illegal or is not right now.
No,
I
we got to
just
deal
want
with
to
it.
know: was there a contract? If there was no contract, and then how was this money paid? And then secondly, did these individuals declare the taxes, file taxes for these
Sales, whatever.
transactions?
Yeah, yeah.
That is where, and that's where I say the DPP needs to be involved and the
But
FIU needs to be involved.
Mr. Morrison,
Mr. Chairman, before the DPP and or the FIU, we already have the Auditor General stipulating that she depends on the Contractor General to be able to provide not only Contractor General, the oh man, the Accountant General. Sorry, the Auditor General depends on the Accountant General to have all those accounts audited, and the documents that is provided by the Accountant General is what the Auditor General takes to use to audit against what was provided by the Accountant General and the accounts that was stipulated in the budget, what was budgeted for those activities. And that's how they're able to cross-reference and verify whether or not money was paid legally, illegally, or overpaid, or depending on the receipts that was received or who's supposed to sign them off, if they had actually gotten the amount of goods.
well,
Because in some instances they get the amount of goods, but it goes out the back door under somebody else's
Mr.
order. There's a
Brackett,
lot of
let
criminal
me
stuff
make
going
this
on.
easier for you, gentlemen, and the people at home and abroad. It does not have to be that long the way you guys are considering it for the FIU to get in. I will tell you why. Under the law, legalized conspiracy and bribery are one of the two things that gets the FIU involved.
Yeah, yeah. But to me, you don't have a case until you get a declaration from the
I
Auditor
understand where
General.
you are coming from, but I'm outrightly saying it. Bribery and
Yes,
legalized conspiracy. That
yes,
is why I said earlier using your office for self enrichment.
Yes.
But all what we are speaking about here tonight, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad, is executive overreach. And I want to show you the people exactly how we here in Belizean affairs having this discussion. We are not doing this just from ourselves. We are also showing these tapes to let you see for yourself what is happening. Gentlemen, I will switch from this topic and tie the next one into it so that we can see what is happening. Let's go to the next tape.
Section 3, whereas under the bill that came up from the House, the bill did not specify who would be the NPO registrar. This, we've gone a step further in specifying who the NPO registrar is and will be once this bill is passed, and that's the Director General of the Financial Services Commission. The Director General of the Financial Services Commission, by virtue of an amendment to the NGO Act recently, is now the registrar for NGOs. The Financial Services Commission has the capacity and the competency to serve as the NPO registrar. It has the financial wherewithal as well to serve as the NPO registrar, which is important for purposes of the FATF recommendations that are applicable. The NPO bill is intended to address not only technical compliance, but the ability to meet enforcement effectively. The FATF recommendations, in particular recommendation 8, is specific to NPOs and provides for a more simplified process for set of responsibilities as far as AML, CFT, and proliferation financing is concerned. Currently, you have NPOs treated essentially in the same way legally as banks and financial institutions.
Gentlemen, and
That shouldn't
people
be.
at home and abroad, the reason why I'm bringing this NPO bill up also is because here you have the government going after churches, going after people who do simple fundraisers. Maybe it's for medical help, maybe it's to bury a loved one. Some people do a little raffle around the Christmas time. You have schools that have bazaars and fairs, and the government is going after these people. The NPO bill, they wants to know where every fund is coming from in non-profit organization. Now, when I said earlier we are dealing with executive overreach, this is what I'm speaking about. And that is why I asked the question, how come the FIU was not involved in the Mira scandal? I go to you first, Mr. Morrison.
You know, I think I hear what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with the government um, setting up some guidelines for raffling for people that do raffle, even if it's just a little turkey, because and I think the intent of the government is not to exercise taxation on those people, but to exercise a level of proper control. And maybe there'll be a limit. They need to say if your goods is under $500, then you can do it, or something like that. Like in terms of a
Yeah.
school bazaar, little small fundraising and stuff. I think that is fine. But a lot of people, many times, they participate in these things, and the winner is never declared, or you never know what happens, how the process is goes out, and people are awarded their prizes. So there are a lot of scheming and things that happens that requires a level of oversight on those things. The
Excuse me, Mr. Morrison. Excuse me for a second. Hold
Let me
on,
finish.
1 second. Because I want you to elaborate on this also. If you have some peoples who have barbecues and fundraisers and they keep doing this yearly and they build a house, isn't that comes to unexplained wealth?
No,
No, I
uh,
don't think so. No, I don't
no.
think so. Because no, I don't. I don't think so. And I don't have a problem with the government, as I said, exercising a level of oversight on it, and people having raising money to do a medical treatment. I don't have a problem with that. If government wants to look at it to see and have you go and register, you say, I'm going to do something. Then I mean, it needs to make sense at a certain point. Government has to have a threshold of what you're raising and how often you're doing this plan. So
Go, Mr. Morrison and Mr.
yes,
Brackett, government had and have, as of today date, no such power vested in them. They have created that law, and that law is on the book, but it's a bogus law that if
I don't
gets
think it's a
challenged,
bogus law. I think government
sir,
have the
sir,
right.
sir,
No,
just a
no,
minute
no,
there.
no, no.
Give me a
There's
minute. Let me
nothing
finish my
disagree with
statement,
that.
though. Let me finish the statement.
Okay.
Government, as, especially as
Well,
of
let me finish
recently,
my point and then you get to your point because I don't
but
want to
but
get into
Let,
that.
let Mr. Morrison
Let me
proceed,
finish my
Mr.
point, then you get
Brackett.
into your point. Government has a right to know what, particularly in terms of fundraising and gambling and those things, the activity that's going on.
sir, can I tell you a case,
No,
a
let me
specific
finish.
Hold
case
Let
on,
me
that
hold
finish.
was
on,
ruled?
Let me
hold
finish,
on,
Mr.
Mr.
Brackett.
But
Brackett.
you're
Let me
insisting in
finish.
saying the
Let me
Hold
government
finish.
have a right
on,
that,
Mr.
that
Brackett.
the court has already declared that the government doesn't have that right under the present constitution. They could go ahead and change the constitution if they want and declare that
That
right.
doesn't take a
They
constitutional
don't have it.
change. That doesn't take a
Hold on, Mr. Brackett. Finish,
that doesn't
Mr.
take a
Morrison.
constitutional reform to amendment to have government exercise power over that. So I'm not even going to argue that point. But let me finish
Because
my point and then you could contest
go
it
ahead,
in
go
any
ahead,
way.
go ahead.
Um, Government has a right to have oversight over all these activities. It makes sense to put a threshold limit. They like the 10,000. I don't think 10,000 is what it's going to be because that's a lot of money people could be defrauded out of. But I would say a reasonable amount, $2,000. If somebody's having an activity to do raise funds at school, having a bazaar, somebody having a fundraising, Christmas time, people raffling a little box and stuff, I think they should set a limit to where that intervention comes in and how often, because you could have one every week and get up to 5,000. So a lot of things need to be look at it in total of how it accumulates. No,
Can I?
in
Oh,
terms of NGOs, government has a right to manage those because a lot of people are taking money from international organizations that that could definitely undermine our national security. And so government needs to know who those individuals are, who is funding them, and to what use and activity is happening on the ground. And this could be political, it could be social, it could be religious. Those activities need to be known, they need to be declared, and from time to time, government needs to carry out some level of audit to make sure that the way they are intended to spend the money that they're spending is properly audited and accounted for. That is my position on those type of things.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Morrison. But
Thank
I
Mr.
want to
Chairman,
say
Mr.
this.
Chairman,
When
Mr.
you have a
Chairman.
government going after non-profit organization using executive powers, I disagree with that.
I'm not
I
thinking of
go to you,
executive
Mr.
power anymore.
And I
I'm
will
thinking
tell
of
you why.
legislative power.
I
Mr.
will tell
Morrison,
you
you and the
why.
chairman are having a dual discussion there, and
Go
I'm
ahead,
trying to bring in a
Mr.
point.
Brackett.
I'm
It's
trying to
your
bring in a
floor,
point.
sir.
I'm trying to bring on a point of elucidation.
It's your turn, sir. 5 minutes.
I don't think I'll need the whole five for right now, but I do need to get the point across. The Constitution says that the government should not get into these type of stuff, but the government that we have in the Belize has been getting into these kind of stuff over and over and over in violation of the Constitution and dismissing the existence of the Constitution and pretending that it doesn't exist. That's why when they went to the ASR BSI case, the minister wrote a specific statutory instrument to try and violate the Constitution. And as we all know, especially those of us who have been on this particular program, have been told over and over, NSI cannot trump the Constitution. But yet, the people of Belize have the impression that whatever the government dictates, or if they want to declare that they have a right to dictate, that dictate is legal, lawful, and constitutional. And it is not, because the court has already ruled on that matter as a what you call it, settled law is settled in court. The ASR BSI specifically addressed the matter of the government messing around and getting into people's private business at the big level, including the small level, because the Constitution never tell you whether you're a big business or a small business. It says the government should not tamper with or get involved in people's personal affairs. And the government should not put any obstacles to stop people from being able to earn a living or work or do what. It's black and white in the Constitution. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. Mr. Morrison was insisting that the government have a right to know these things or to do whatever. Why don't you think they go to the church and demand that the church turn over their records to them about all the money that those churches are getting from overseas? As you're declaring just now when you say that the government needs to know about these people that are getting money in from. It doesn't work.
I'm talking specifically about NGO, Mr. Brackett. I wasn't
regardless of NGOs.
I wasn't talking about funding.
I'm saying the law is the law, Mr. Morrison. The law is the law, and I'm saying to you, it's in black and white. They're trying to create laws to serve the purpose that they want, but those laws have to come within the bounds of the Constitution. They cannot go outside the bounds of the Constitution and still be deemed as being lawful, legal, and constitutional. Is my point. It don't matter what we like or don't like. Unless we are willing to change the Constitution, then what we like and don't like, then should be changed. But we only have one Constitution at a time, and the present Constitution says the government is forbidden.
I don't think there's any place in the Constitution that stops the government from making laws to monitor and to.
Are you not aware of the ASR BSI case, Mr. Morrison? I know you are aware of it, sir. But maybe the context baffles you, or maybe you're not, on top of it, which is why you're resisting what I'm trying to say to you, because you don't think I know what I'm talking about. Then maybe that could be a possibility, that I don't know what I'm talking about, even though I'm making reference to the specific law and the specific case as a settled law, and I'm making reference to the Constitution itself that stipulates that. The government know more than I'm supposed to know, with all of those lawyers on staff that the government have and in cabinet and all over the place. But still they go ahead and make onerous laws and try to bamboozle the people into believing that these things that they're saying is so. And the damn well know it's not.
Mr. Brackett, could you answer a question for me?
I'll try if it's something that I'm capable of. Maybe that's the one where I'm not capable of.
You're telling me that the Constitution of Belize prohibits the government of Belize from making a law that legislates how NGO...
Wait, stop right there. You don't cross two barriers that are going to be incompatible with each other. Right there already. You know finalize your statement, and you don't introduce two conflicting things there that don't work together. Let me point it out to you quickly so you could move ahead and drive on whichever side of the road you want. It's your right. Yeah. The government, as I stipulated earlier, in the ASR BSI case.
I'm not talking about that, Mr. Brackett.
Listen,
Mr. Brackett, Mr. Brackett, I ask you a specific question.
You want the answer without the knowledge? No. You want the answer without the knowledge?
No. I'm asking you a specific
It's important
question.
to get the knowledge so you can understand the context of the answer. That's why that's what causes the argument or the debate, because the foundation is not there.
Mr. Brackett,
the premise.
BSI is not a non-profit organization.
It doesn't matter. The law is the law. It's black and white.
That's why I'm asking you a specific question that I would like to see if we're on the same page. I know what BSI, ASI is. That's why I'm asking you a specific question. Is it your understanding and you believe it is in the Constitution that the government cannot make laws without changing the
Okay, Mr.
Constitution.
Morrison, let me answer that for you.
No,
Okay?
Greg. He
No,
asked me
no,
the
I want Mr.
question.
Brackett to answer it
He
because
asked me the question. Give me a
he's
shot.
he's the one that's contesting what I'm saying. Let me finish it. Let me finish it.
But I try to stop you because
No, but I
I
don't
told
want
you
you to
you were
bring in
conflicting.
PSI.
Gentlemen, can we not overtalk each other?
Yes, but Mr. Morrison, I try to point out to you that the premise that you were setting up was contradictory
No, it's
to each
not.
other.
I don't know why it's contradictory because I'm asking you a
Okay.
straightforward question. You didn't even let me finish my question.
Okay. Because you don't recognize what I was trying to say then, and you don't want to
Can
accept.
you
But
let
go
Mr.
ahead.
Morris
Go
finish,
ahead.
please?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead,
Mr.
Mr.
Brackett,
Morrison.
is the government not able to make a law that controls and legislate the operation of NGOs without modifying our current constitution? For example, set up have them have proper books as to how their dictator directors are to function, having them disclose how the money is being spent, and making sure that they're operating within the laws and functioning properly in terms of not receiving funds from groups or people outside
Mr.
of the country
Morrison,
that is inconsistent with
It'll conflict
governance
all
of
over
our
the place.
country.
The longer they go to try cover more ground,
can
it'll
you wait
conflict.
a second, Mr. Brackett? Mr. Morrison, yes, they can, but specifically the NPO bill. Government do not have the right to make laws that are unconstitutional for private entity to disclose their donors, as in the BSI case. That is what he's speaking about.
I understand what he's speaking about. I'm not speaking about DSI case.
But
I'm
yes,
talking.
you are right. They can do that. They are there to make laws to legislate different things.
But they
There's
can't make
nothing wrong
laws
with
that
that.
are illegal. The government is not empowered to commit crimes or illegal conduct just because it's the
No,
government.
no,
It has to
gentlemen, to
abide by the
prove
laws.
what you both were saying, I want to prove this to you. The non-profit organization bill, which comes from donors, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and everybody should be treated equal under Section 6. It means that the same law the government makes for the citizen of this country, they also should not violate it. And this is a good topic, and I am really highly appreciative of you gentlemen in this discussion, because this is where I wanted to go with it. And I will open the floor for you, the people at home and abroad, and you gentlemen to discuss it. I have reached to the top of why I wanted to bring this program. And I wanted to bring it because, as I said, government cannot make unconstitutional laws and come back and want to do break the same law that they make. Here is the video.
It's nothing about censorship. I don't know how you could come to that. I think the big thing about the broadcasting authority is that now all of these online media people, blogs or whatever, that are taking advertisements and everything, also they have to be held to the same standards that you are being held. You all are at a disadvantage competing with these bloggers. These bloggers go online and they hear something and just put it out there without even checking whether it is so or not so, and all that kind of thing, and then they're collecting revenues. They're providing a kind of like a service to the public, and they need to be held to the same journalistic standards that you at Love and Creme, Channel 7, Channel 5 are being held to. And that's the main part of it. Technology has changed, so we can't continue using the same legislation that was addressing a technology of the 1990s. So we have to keep up with that. So it has absolutely nothing to do with censorship.
So, Mr. Chairman, that knucklehead that
Gentlemen,
just talked, Mr. Chairman, that knucklehead that just talked, he's trying to assume the posture that because technology has changed, they want to reach out with their local Belizean powers and so-called demand that Facebook and all these people that work on Facebook and the other platforms comply with the nonsense, the jackass nonsense that's coming out of his head. The guy does not have what it takes to be able to even present his point adequately, much less talk craziness about um, um, exercising any control over Facebook and the other bloggers them and other people who use their internet. The man is out of his league. He doesn't even understand. He needs to go and appraise himself before he opens his mouth and does like he always does, talk stupidness that make him look stupid, pretending that, well, whatever he's saying has to have some law or power behind it to make it work the way he. Even the laws of the country currently does not allow him that privilege. But he's trying to stipulate that he can go to the House and make a law for that privilege that he's trying to assume that he has a right to exercise, for them to legally exercise and take away people's constitutionally imbued and enshrined rights. He's crazy. He's power drunk. And he doesn't know his limits. I yield back, Mr.
thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Brackett. This is what I call informal law, which is unconstitutional. Government wants to use a free webcast, as in Facebook,
Mhm.
and control it. There is nowhere in history in the world has any government tried to charge any citizen for what they put on Facebook. It is unconstitutional and it violates one's freedom of expression. I go to you, Mr. Morrison.
Well, the statute of libel remains consistent no matter what forum you use to broadcast your comments. So I think that always stands. If someone libels someone, whatever, whether you do it in a newspaper, whether you do it in a letter, whether you do it on Facebook, that all. Let me finish my
Did they
thought.
prosecute Mr.
Let me finish
August?
my thought, Mr. Brackett. Let me finish my thought. That always stands. But
Oh,
what the
man.
prime minister is getting at is quite different. He's using the process of divide and conquer. He's saying to Channel 7, Channel 5, and all them that, oh, they're not paying taxes and they're receiving revenue from advertisers. If they're receiving revenues from advertisers, they should be paying taxes. I have no problem with that.
And a free social media platform, Mr.
Yes,
Morrison.
even on a free social media, if they're because they are earning an income, they're
Mr.
earning
Morrison,
no, let me finish.
who
Let me finish.
controls
Uh,
social media,
Let me
Mr.
finish, and you
Morrison?
could disagree with me. Let me
mm,
finish my point. If you're earning an income from it, that is quite different, and you can be held liable for it. But that is quite different. That is quite different than trying to have you register for it, and having the government license you. And let me finish, Mr. Brackett. You're making me nervous.
no,
And
no, no,
have the
man.
government have
I'm
the
sorry.
government have the government could hold your license and stuff. If there's issues with the programming that you do that sort of hold people, challenge them and speak untruth about them, then of course you could be liable for that. But having the government license and restrict your contents and stuff based on the same process as a license over the airwave, that is wrong, and that is probably unconstitutional under the current structure of our governance. So I am not saying that the government doesn't have some realm of control over it in terms of income and taxes and such, and in terms of people could suffer legal recourse for libel, those are possible, but they should not be able to license your programming, because this programming, like we have it, could
Sir,
originate
sir,
from any
sir,
place.
sir, the, the,
Thank
the
you, Mr.
laws.
Morrison.
Oh,
Hold
sorry,
on,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Brackett.
but
Hold on, Mr.
I
Brackett.
want to answer the point.
Hold
He
on,
had a,
Mr.
he,
Brackett.
he have a,
Just a second. Mr. Morrison, I disagree with you. And I disagree with you especially because of the NPO bill. I will tell you why. The government, as you said, who create these laws, is trying to make a law that will be inconsistent with the Constitution. And why? He wants to get paid from a free social media platform. That is what they are trying to do. License people who advertise. Social media is a free web-based platform. No one has the right for it.
But that, in the United States, if people create contents on their program, their WhatsApp or whatever programming they have, they are responsible for taxes. It's recorded as an income to them. If it's structured into a corporation, they have to pay their taxes on that income. So there's no problem in government taxing it, whether it's a free. I don't understand the difference of the point you're trying to make with it's a free platform and stuff.
Mr. Morrison, social media is a free web-based
Yes,
platform
yeah.
that is worldwide.
But so
No
is the airwaves.
government,
So is the
no
airwaves.
government, sir, in
But
history has
I understand.
ever done what the Belizean
I
Prime
agree with
Minister
you. I agree
is
with you.
trying to do.
But I'm not. You're missing the point that I'm trying to make, where I differ. The government doesn't have the control of it. The government shouldn't be restricting your content, but the government has the right to receive a revenue, to receive taxes revenue from income you generate from that programming that you have, and they shouldn't be restricting you and telling you how much you could talk and or what you could say,
um,
other than when you cross the line of liable
can I finally get a little say in the
to
conversation?
individuals.
Because you guys will go back and
Mr.
forth among me.
Morrison,
Greg,
this
you did that over and
conversation
over. Wait, man, you
is
did
the
talk to Mr.
right
Morrison.
reason why
Greg, you did talk to
BTL
Mr.
should
Morrison,
not
and
become a
that three are there
monopoly.
in the conversation, brother.
Go
Wait,
ahead,
man.
Mr. Brackett. You have the rest of the
Every
floor
time
or the
you,
night.
Mr.
Go
Morrison
ahead,
answer your
sir.
question, and you
Go
have some
ahead,
another one,
sir.
you block me out.
You
Go
took up
That's
all
not
his
my
ahead,
time
point.
sir.
arguing his point. Let me take it over from here now then.
Wait. No. I'm trying to
Proceed,
wait,
sir.
wait,
No,
man.
no, no, no,
Make
no.
a talk.
Proceed.
I did try to talk.
Proceed.
Stop talking over me. I did try to say that you gentlemen are having a
No, that's
circular
not
dis-
what you need to say.
wait.
Proceed on the
You're
topic.
wait.
You're using time. Proceed on the
You're having a
topic.
circular discussion, and if you only wait and listen to what I was trying to say, you would have avoided having to have that circular discussion, because the point would have and should have been taken. I was trying to say to you guys that what the government is putting out there as their reason for wanting to double with people's private and personal communication, which the Constitution says that the government should not tamper with or get involved with, is because they are trying to overreach and trying to establish a point where they can be justifiably hold hostage people who are on the internet or who put up blogs, as the Prime Minister complained about, because of what they're talking about. They're trying to find a way to silence us or to block us off from being able to get on the airwave if they deem that we are, for some reason or another, not complying with their bogus rules that they are putting in place. When in fact, the rules that they are putting in place, they don't do it according to how the Constitution prescribes it to be done. They do it in an honest way because they have devious and malignant intent. Okay? And the intent can be seen by the actions, by their own words. When the Prime Minister complain about bloggers, when they complain about Budna, and what Budna they say, and they expose them and stuff and things like that.
Mirrors
That's what
Canal,
hurts them.
kidnapping, etc.
These guys are about trying to muscle the situation so that we who complain about their misbehavior cannot access the airwaves because they want them to have control and right to control it. That's what's fundamentally at the bottom of this. And we discuss this thing as if we are not aware of that reality. When in fact, when the Prime Minister talk about taxes this and taxes that, and they tell the other reporters them that we, the bloggers, them out here, are taken away from their way of earning their living on a whole lot of other crap. He's trying to divide and conquer, like what Greg said earlier. It's a divide and conquer
It is, Mr.
approach.
Brackett. This haven't just started, you know. It
The man then gone to the house
with,
and make laws to try to shut you down from 2 years ago, and they couldn't come up with the proper legal framework because they went into it honestly. When you go in with deviousness in your mind, the only outcome could be deviousness.
Mr. Brackett, this started when the incident happened in Cairo at the hospital. When they tried to make the law and Mr. Bradley had to come on and talk about the Constitution, they dropped it. Then recently with the state of emergency, when Ms. Audrey Matura specifically said they would try to come and silence you, stop you from social media if you are going against them.
That's what it's all about.
It is what it is about.
And we go around in a circle to try to excuse them or to try.
No. We need to separate and understand.
We don't need to make excuses. These guys have their own ulterior motives.
No. They have their own ulterior motives. But what I'm saying, and I'm not disrupting, and I believe that what they are trying to do is unconstitutional in terms of regulating, this forum, this forum. But what I'm saying and what I believe to be true and correct is that if you earn an income, they have a right to their taxes. That even
Morrison,
even Jesus said it. Render unto Caesar.
We on this particular farm. We on this particular platform. Do we make any income off ours?
Then we don't.
Does CY make any income off of his?
Then we shouldn't.
Does any of the other platform them? Dozens of other platforms.
Yes.
Then what shut we down?
Some of them had advertisement, Mr. Brackett. Some of them in Belizean.
And even if they do,
then pay your taxes.
The municipal. Wait. No. But there's no regulation right now, and that's what they're trying to create.
It's
the wording that they're putting in their regulation.
Income, you pay your taxes.
No,
the government
says that's exculpation.
What the government says, do you have any income? And you say yes or no. And if they can prove
that's why the man they get ahead and bamboozle for the people because they're falling and they trap. They play along with them.
If you argue this thing wrong, you create a corruption of it.
Mr. Morrison, I believe personally, this is my belief. You see how they wanted to monopoly BTL, and then they would have retailers. If they do what they want to do as we are speaking, who will they pay to on social media? They will be getting it free as we all are getting it, and then they want to come and regulate it to you.
But let's understand something, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Let's understand something. The airwave is free. You pay a license for it, right? For accessing social media, Facebook or any of these platforms, we pay a monthly fee for it. It is greatly subsidized, but it's not free. It's just not like we need a license. We just pay our fee and we get on. But to get a number designated on what band you can operate your radio station or television station, you get a license from the government for those, because those are limited and restricted, because you don't want them to go into certain levels of stuff. So that makes sense.
The man is trying to capture power. He's overreaching, okay?
No, but I'm not disputing that part of it, Mr. Brackett.
I understand what you are saying, Mr. Morrison. So you are saying with the government and the people owning of BTL, It is as simple as, since they are your ISP, if you are doing it, they can just pull the plug.
That's what it's coming down to. That's
But
the
they,
objective.
That's what it is.
have you not seen
That's the
Facebook
ultimate
pull the
objective.
plug? No. But did you not see Facebook pull the plug on the president at one point? The president of the United States.
Right.
Because the stuff belong to Facebook, belong to Johnny Briseño.
And
he, Johnny Briseño, they try put himself in that position, like I said earlier.
No, don't collide things, Mr. Brackett. We're talking about specific things, whether they could pull the plug. If we
yes, they can do that. They can do that because your ISP could block WhatsApp. It can block whatever. That is how they want.
What I'm saying,
but
lawfully, legally, lawfully, and ethically, they're not supposed to do that.
Nobody's saying they should.
Whenever they go about trying to do anything like that,
that's not the point. You're arguing a null point. Nobody's saying they should do it or have, but they do it, and they could do it with radio, TV, and Facebook. I'm just saying that at some level they want
to get the capacity to be able to do it now.
No, Mr. Morrison, listen to this, Mr. Morrison. Hypothetically speaking, Belizean affairs is run on the American side. If Mr. Brackett were doing commercial and making money, how would they license him?
If Mr. Brackett was making money in the United States, Mr. Brackett would have to declare that income and pay taxes on it. Ask him.
To Belize?
No, not to Belize, to America.
That's why I'm asking you the question.
He lives in America. No. But if he was raising, no. Let me finish.
If Mr. Brackett is doing Belizean commercials and stuff and blog and making money, how will the government of Belize tax him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He'd have to pay double taxation.
He will have to
you
pay
guys make this discussion be about taxes and the government right to tax.
Because
nobody should be arguing that.
Anyway,
we're wasting for we time because we
don't
have
Mr. Brackett,
we don't have no way to deter the government from taxing whatever they want to tax.
I agree with you on every point. I agree with you on every point except the point that I believe it's unconstitutional for the government of Belize to ask you for a license. I believe it's unconstitutional of the government of Belize to try and restrict your content. But I believe the government of Belize has the right to taxation if they are providing when the business is based in Belize and they're getting taxes in Belize, revenue in Belize. But
the man and the try capture the ability to be able to determine whether or not we can stay on or they could take us out.
Hold on, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Morrison, you know why I'm saying this? What happens to Mullins Funeral Home and other funeral home that is broadcasting a funeral live? Even though
they don't earn a revenue from that directly, Mr. Or if they're earning a revenue, if they're saying we're broadcasting it and you pay $100 or $200 for us to broadcast it, then that's a part of the income that they need to declare in terms of minus expenses, because we saw Mr. Mullin got in trouble because he didn't have proper accounting to show what his expenses
were. But his account was up to date.
No, it wasn't up to date. He messed up on his account.
Anyway, gentlemen, we are over time. And it's time to go. It was a nice conversation.
The conversation not finished because I don't get my chance yet.
How much chance you want, Mr.
Brackett?
I go to you for the closing, sir.
Me?
Well, it's a nice topic. Nice topic. Yes, sir. I go to you, Mr. Morrison.
Remember, you may give me 5 minutes and I only may get to use one.
No.
He went right up to 4 and then I will use one now out of the 4 and then next.
He's just like the president.
Next show now, give me back the
when
next
he
3 minutes.
War, and then when he gets to the 90 day, he says war end. Then he starts the war all over again.
No. Come on, man. Stop treating me like that. You mistreat me, abuse me. I'm not falling in that category, at least not yet.
you know, this is a very good topic because it shows some of the weaknesses of our governance. It shows some of the abuse that that our government is willing to exercise over us, and it shows where we as members of the public and members that are interested in the proper democratic and legal structure of our governance has a chance to make input so that people in the wider sphere of things, whether they be in Belize or in the diaspora, can start thinking about these things and see for themselves where we should be fitting in and what areas we should be challenging our government on. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman, for bringing up this very important issue, and Mr. Brackett for engaging me. So thank
Uh,
you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Sir, as far as the issue of getting control of what independent media individuals try to put out in the internet, all governments would like to do that because an uninformed populace is the worst enemy to that populace. And most people who become dictatorial in their approach to governance hope that at some point in time they can muzzle their way on those people's rights, whether known or unknown rights, to be able to keep them as ill-informed, uninformed, or misinformed. And the idea is, if you can get the people to quarrel up among themselves, then they don't have time to pay attention to you while you're there to rip up the country and its assets. Look into any government, whether it's a communist government, a capitalist government, a dictatorial republic government, whatever, any, especially modern systems of government, and you'll find the same approach. The less informed the public is, the easier it is to bamboozle them, which is why we have the type of governance that we have nowadays, regardless of by what name they go by. They all seem to be breathing the same air, and it's affecting them the same way. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. That's my closing.
thank you, Mr. Brackett. I
You're
want
welcome,
to
sir.
say good night to you, gentlemen. I thank you for sitting virtually with me. You are highly appreciated. And I love topics like these where
Nice
we
program,
can
Mr.
sit
Chairman.
and express our thought about what is happening to you, the people at home and abroad. I want to say I hope tonight's show will enlighten you and open your minds into some of the things we speak about, especially when it comes to informal laws, laws that are inconsistent with our Constitution, laws that is not treating all Belizean equal under Section 6 of the Constitution, and
Mm-hmm.
laws that are being made to prohibited us from freedom of expression. With that said, I want to say good night and thank you.